Gotten in the habit of doing the story so far, and I try to think about it in this, and again, you know, I can tell you people did stuff and moved cubes on the victory point chart, right? It's really hard to tell what the story is in a game that's so sort of pulse driven in terms of all these different cards being played. Doesn't really demonstrate a lot on the board. We can look at a few things, like some players have gathered a lot of horses, maybe too many. 6 horses is a hell of a lot, but I am allowed to hold that many with this player. He has a decent number of sheep. Outside of reflections on what kind of power people have obtained over the course of the game, it's really hard. There's no real narrative to this. There's just sort of a board state, right? I'm not getting to see borders changing. Wouldn't expect that in the type of game it is. But yeah, it's really... I have very little memory of the things I've done just because of the nature of the game. Okay, so it's time to shuffle the second deck for the second turn and deal that out. All the cards should be going out again. Let's do it. And these piles just keep growing. This one doesn't matter. I could take these guys out of play, but this one's still there and always available. Drawing the solo cards. There's the exact right number again, so I figure I'm doing things right. There are a few more solo cards this time, 3 instead of 1. Those are kind of things that program in, so when you're running just one player, you know, you get to exchange cards and stuff like that. Weird shit just happens. Stuff that maybe nothing similar to it happens within the game itself. And now I start this process again, making the decisions of which cards to take. I'm not going to give a hell of a lot of commentary on this. I guess we'll look at what the new cards that show up are, but we're not going to go through every decision the way we did in that first video. I will stop to say is, wow, some of the cards are more potent. So I took myself a Warden before. I could pay and replace him with this much better one. All defense dice gain a +1. You may move him back to your family sheet when declaring your final target as a battle. If so, add 2 more attack dice to your battle result. I don't know if I... Oh, he's in English, so he couldn't have been affected by the rough gluing. And lots and lots of dice as well. So he's an interesting concept. When it says you may move him back, I think that's you take his defense token off the board. More sheep gained. Like the cards are just becoming richer. This double cross allows you to grab a grain that someone else has. Probably don't want to do this. It's a big 5 points for one of those early ones when there are better ones showing up now. Again, lots of sheep and a nice Reaver. So, you know, I got a lot of choices. I'll probably take the Reaver because I lack one. But he doesn't look all that great. But fill up all sheep in target region before computing a dice. Flip up all sheep. So I can rip sheep out of somebody's bed and use and take them. So that's kind of interesting. I don't have the Elliots, you know. Again, I'm going to try not to do this kind of decision making, but you can see there's a lot to think about. Again, especially when you're facing a brand new hand of cards. This is kind of shitty because there's a lot of good cards here, right, for this first player. And what I'm thinking, again, I don't know the game, but what I'm thinking looking at this is, wow, I got a really nice packet to begin with. I'm going to take whatever's best for me. But what's best for me out of this, It may mean that I don't get many good choices coming forward, and a lot of other people, everybody else, is going to get at least one of these cards, as an option, and they're all pretty rich. Pick the first couple, and I'm coming to another set, and I'm again, wow, all the cards are bigger than earlier ones. Even these hold cards that are, sort of one-use things are really, really potent. This one, draw 2 defense tokens at random. The Tower Houses add a castle garrison and a peel, or 3 peels in your march. The Reivers are just better. I don't want to fill in what I don't need. This is really, really tasty, though, which replace the sheep on your map on your family sheet with one for this office, which is always shifted 2 columns to the right of normal. So what do I get? I get 2 notoriety per turn plus a couple of sheep, essentially, for this. A couple of sheep that can't be taken away from me. That's appealing. I've got room for an extra office or grains. It's hard to tell. Should I just grab this because I got space for it right now? I don't know. I don't know. Another thought: when you're taking these more powerful cards, you almost certainly want to, I guess, kind of demote into the more flexible space your lousier card or a weaker card that you're more likely to discard. What the hell is out there? Oh, that's a human. That's a human looking for cans. Okay. I thought it was an animal. I mean, it is, but I meant a non-human type. But yeah, I'm really torn on all of these decisions. Every time I draw, every time I look at the cards, I'm sure, and this is kind of like if you think about like Twilight Struggle, the first time you play it, or even Here I Stand, or any of these games with a big handful of cards. If you don't know the deck, you're kind of like playing blind. Now, I like that in general in games. I really do, especially in games that have a lot of narrative. This doesn't generate a narrative that I can sink my teeth into, but I still like the, geez, I don't know, that's a cool card, oh, awesome, type of feeling that you get the first time you're playing something, as opposed to the more you learn the game, it starts becoming just an exercise in optimization of your hand and whatnot. And if that's what I'm doing, I don't need as much bells and whistles going on, right? I can be playing bridge, and optimize my hand very nicely that way. There's a difference, the packet shifting and all that. But a much, much simpler game could be using these mechanisms. Sort of the charm of a game that has lots and lots of different stuff that isn't easy to get a grasp on what everything is actually that first experience of it, or some new combination of it. I want to mention about components. I don't know if you can see this. There's sort of a little bit of a bend on this card. And I don't know, if I did this through my shuffling with a riffle shuffle, I doubt that, but it's possible. These cards are just a little stiffer than I like. They're not the worst of the GMT cards, like the very worst. So, I mean, all cards nowadays are really, really wonderful. GMT seems to have different quality of cards throughout their games. In sort of their top of the line games, and I was afraid this might have been it, they give these really, really stiff cards that are almost impossible to shuffle. And I feel like maybe they went to a different producer here to go for a sturdier card than some of the cards that they produce. And that these actually can get damaged through shuffling, which is kind of a negative. I never really know what's going on in such cases, right? I mean, I don't have that kind of contact with most of these companies. Some of them will, some of the developers or whatnot, or the designers will get back to me, but it's a rarity, right? But what I like is they're much more like a poker deck. Very, very flexible cards. You know, a good poker deck of cards has a capacity to last through more playings than most people will do. Now, of course, most people probably sleeve their cards and end up so you can't shuffle them anyway. You end up like, if you're me, you end up just spilling them all over the place if you've got sleeves on cards, because they're just too slickery. But I just wanted to point that out. It's an interesting facet. I haven't seen that neither in the armored cards, which I have seen get damaged. Those really, really stiff cards, they do get damaged, but in a slightly different way. And then in the most flexible cards. And it seems like they put the cards that are not my favorites in the games that they kind of see as the top of the line, whereas they go with a more flexible, more shuffleable, and actually, at least in my opinion, more survivable cards in games that maybe they don't look at as much. Everything's just such an improvement over, if you look at like your old Avalon Hill games or whatever, the cards in those games were often just paper. If you're looking at SPI quality cards, they were either just kind of a papery card stock or a slight gloss to something. But I mean, they tore, all kind of nasty shit happened to them. Cards have improved so much across the board everywhere here. But I do like to pick on the GMT cards because they do seem to make, they've always had a sort of two-quality system to the cards, and it's the lesser quality, the ones that they probably pay the less for, that I appreciate the more. I don't know. Compass has good cards, really good cards. The quality is nice flexibility and everything. They have their other problems. The iconography on these cards is a little confusing sometimes, and sometimes the wording is too. So for example, this one shows a black die. Well, okay, that's what these usually say. It's bonus attack die, and then a gray die. I think the gray die is this may pay 2 cattle to gain 1 additional die, as opposed to something like here where battle is black die and jailbreak is gray, because these generally are just attack dice no matter what applied. That's the thought there. There's this interesting tax time card, which is going to allow me to take a bunch of default actions, but I can bonus all the other English players. Now I'm in the lead. Yes, the English players in general are doing better than the Scottish players. I'm ahead of 1, and these guys, but these guys are pretty far behind. I kind of want to do this and take that advantage. So I think I'm going to play that. It's going to be hard to pass up. I've got a Reivers. This is the Cares who got this. It's a better Reivers than I have in everything. And he adds an additional die if I am the Cares. If I pass this by, I simply won't get it. Of course, it's going to just replace my Reivers and destroy him, but I've got a kind of cheesy one. He's not terrible. It's not like this William DeLiesel here, who really sucks. But I just can't pass up taking a special advantage like that. Especially since what I'm replacing gives an extra die if I'm allied with the Armstrongs, but I don't have them. No one else does yet either. They should be coming around, but I may not get them. Someone else may choose them. So I'm going to go with this. And I've got everything filled up except my Warden so far. Similarly, I have an interesting choice here. I may take it anyway. I've got a very good Reaver available. I have a shitty Reaver for myself, so I may well just take this because he's adding a lot more dice to everything. But his bonus is add an extra attack die if allied with the Carltons, and the attack is in a West March. The Carltons are over here, already selected. So I know I'm not going to get that advantage. Of course, there is a Betrayal card, which I saw, which actually matched the capability that I was like, oh, you can't do this capability. Actually, you can. The solo card replaces that. And does that. But I think I'm very tempted to take this, even though I have a Reaver. I have a shitty Reaver. This could be useful, to one of these other players, but that's not a reason for me not to take it. So I think I do so. I'm not sure. There's things like football match here. Each other family may move a defense token back to their box and roll the highest number of dice shown. Sounds complicated. Yeah. When it's your turn to place notoriety, target a family. They have to give you cattle or let you choose two of their notoriety that you get. These hold cards are really interesting. Am I low on money? That's a good question. No, I have a fair amount. Oh. Did I fuck up? Yeah, I fucked up. Let me back him up, because he does not have enough cash to buy the card he wants. Back to the Cares, and I really wanted this, and I'm getting screwed out of it. I would have had to play it as a default action. By the way, default actions are getting weaker, right? They have the same value as before. They're not getting boosted. They're relatively weaker, right? They're not getting boosted the way these cards are. So I have a few choices to gain me money. First of all, I've got this, which would give me 6 cattle. That's pretty sweet right off the bat there. Again, this is for the solo game, as far as I know. It didn't tell me that as far as I remember. So it talks about these cards. Finally, at the bottom is a colored stripe showing how it's played during the solo game. Okay, yeah, it does specify that. If it didn't, I would gripe, because I like to gripe, right? I could gain just like $1 by taking one of these if there's one of these that was really nice. And this one's pretty decent. This one also is kind of cool, but I have a hold card already. I think I'm going to take the bunches of cattle, simply because that'll give me more flexibility in terms of money that I can buy other cards with. But it really sucks to not be able to get the card I want just because I'm low on cattle. Buddy, can you spare a cow? Something really fucked up about these cards. This is another one that's gotten some bend in it. I do a riffle shuffle, and it puts some stress on any kind of card. Now, it's possible with these cards to do it, but apparently not good to do with them. I'm not used to cards getting damaged, the first time I shuffle a deck a few times. Yeah, sometimes some cheap playing cards will eventually start to get a fold like this. It's a little line going across here, and it's definitely that little corner being flexed up and shot. But yeah, these cards are of a lower quality than anything I've seen in a long time. And I'm guessing GMT doesn't know about the quality issue on the cards. But whoever they're ordering them from, they probably, got hey, poker quality cards. Yeah, maybe they got a sample of them and they looked fine to them. And they probably didn't shuffle them 10 times, though, because you would very quickly see, yeah, these are not quality. I'm not used to cards taking this kind of damage right away. It's kind of cool that I don't like the game very much. I don't remember what else I was trying to come up with something. This is not a great hand coming to the gray player right now. How am I on horses? I got plenty of horses. Yeah, I got room for more. I'm having a hard time figuring out what I want to do here. A couple defense tokens that could be really, really helpful towards making my territory look less juicy. Yeah, this one's damaged as well. This is one I think I may have pointed out before. Here, I'm going to take a Reaver because I don't have a Reaver. I don't know if this is the best that I can do, but I'm in an interesting position where I'm running out of cash too. So I may have a hard time getting, that extra office grayness or grains before, on this turn, whatever. It's not a good idea to go into the turn without a lot of cattle. Definitely has been causing issues to a couple of players. Now the pink player played this. Now it comes with the Scots Dyke, which it increases your notoriety here. And somewhere else I took it in my home. But it gives this Scots Dyke here. Any raid suffers 1 block against it. I think I'll put it on the white side so it's more visible, making that section more difficult. Now I get additional dice compared to everyone else because I'm more important there. But that reminds me of something else. It is important. The thing that weirded me out was most of the little markers are these tiny little guys. So I was looking for them and I thought I was missing this. This was in with these big guys. I had them stacked so that I could tell, but I actually thought I was missing a card. The other thing is when you replace, so somebody, I think he replaced his Reaver. The replacement Reaver goes into the summer out of play cards because it has already been used. That guy's dead. You got a new guy. Make our way around. While options to increase your attacks and to some extent defenses are improving on the card choices, there's also greater defenses beginning to spring up. More sheep being bedded, more castles showing up. You can see, ooh, a lot of defense is being put in place, and what it's going to do is it's going to honestly what it's going to do is, like in a lot of these games where there are a lot of different cards in play, a lot of game state represented all over the place, spread out, is it's going to make the calculations harder more than anything else. But I think you have to ramp things up in this way. I haven't thought about it all that much, but obviously you're not going to replace your cards if there aren't better cards to put in play. And if that's the case, if the Reivers and the grains are improving and strengthening your attack capability, well, sure, there's the Wardens that strengthen as well, but you also do need to give more options across the board. Solo play point of view, it's very, very tiring to do this this action, the card selection from the packets. I like that mechanism. I can guarantee you I love the drafting concept in the game for an opposed game. And I say I'm not going to play this again. That's primarily because I'm not I just don't have a group. You know, I don't have people I game with anymore. I think this would be fun to bring once to a group. That's about all I ever get a game played nowadays. You know, it's not like once upon a time back in the 90s or earlier. You know, where we would play the same game multiple times. The groups that I'm in now, that's just not an appeal. And I kind of miss playing games multiple times. Back in the 90s, I used to think, and especially the 90s, because in the 80s, I didn't have that many games. We weren't facing the 18XX and whatnot early on. But in the 90s in particular, I came into this kind of view of, we played that recently, we shouldn't play that again. That is entirely, you know, nowadays it's, I've played that, I don't want to do that again. I do have to say, when I was gaming down at the store, there were people who had the sort of view of, yeah, this is the hot game, we want to play this. That just wasn't the group that I was in. So, you know, it's not like I couldn't have found people. Certainly for a game like this, I think the groups that were into the kind of Euros, especially the heavier Euros, would have been into this. They did not mind player-to-player conflict. That wasn't an issue for them, and I think this game would have appealed to them a great deal. And you know, I never mind teaching a new game to people. Bringing one of my games or playing a game that I know and showing it to new people is always exciting to me. Not because I'm going to win, you know. Although I have had that argument made to me. You know, you always know the games, you always are going to win. Yeah, it is definitely an advantage, but I try to give enough information that people can make good choices. And honestly, quite often, in certain games at least, I've found that the newer gamer, the person who's absolutely new to the system or to gaming, actually has an advantage, because I'll try to help them along. Someone who's just slow but is a gamer, like, it's just not worth, you know, trying to help them. But it is worth trying to help someone who understands the concepts that you're giving them and is learning the game, and is learning the type of game that way. So, I don't know, call it a bias of mine or whatever. But it is really fatiguing to work my way through, you know, the 6 picks per player. And then I have to do the same with this. It's why I was so agitated, frustrated by what we were facing in the last turn. And I know it's going to happen again. Luckily, I have something that's going to be completely different kind of frustration coming up. And I hint to that. I'm going to swap batteries, and then I'll keep working my way through these. But, you know, the idea of doing a turn a day is really tiring in this, in a way that, like, I don't know, EU Pop came close. Payoff for EU Pop was so much higher. There comes a point where, you know, now we're grabbing 2 defense tokens per card, where you're getting a fair amount of defense tokens. Now I can look at these and see how many are rumors, but this card, you know, looks less useful to me. It looks like I have a lot of good stuff. I just have my 1 rumor, my Earl. So I don't think I'm going to want to take that, which means I look at my others, I'm like, this is kind of interesting, because these options are getting really kind of limited. The heavy snows here makes it a lot harder to hit me. But I have good defense tokens, but I don't have great defense overall. So that's an interesting option. Another is, hey, give me 5 cattle, or I take your notoriety. I take some of your notoriety. I think I'd rather just make myself defensible, especially since I'm in the lead here. Although the cattle would be not bad, but by taking this, I'm going to get 1 cattle, and I'm going to get my income as well, and I have a reasonable amount of sheep. That is another thing. So there are more sheep on the map. Yeah, some of them are lying down, etc. But remember, each sheep in an area that you hit is worth an extra die. So that's going to increase the attacks too. So even though the defenses are going up, the attack's going up as well. And there was something else. So I don't know. I don't know what the other thing was. I do. It's possible that there would be more feuds with markers. Now, I'm fucking pissed. Because I screwed up. I screwed up. We had some sheep taken. I know that. And I don't see anybody with an extra feud marker on the board. So there should be extra cubes in the feuds with boxes that did not show up. My fuck up. Why? I don't know. At least I think I had successful attacks on sheep. That sounds correct. I know I did one that was here. I may be able to recover it from that. I don't know. I really don't fucking know. So, I mean, if I look, some of the players don't have a lot of sheep. So, pink, no, not pink. Someone had really fucking low sheep. I guess it must have been him, and he just got a couple of sheep. He must have lost sheep to someone. And I don't know who he lost them to. Let me see if I can try to figure that out. Because there should be another cube in the feuds with box there. Oh, you know what it may have been? It may be that it was Orange who took them. And there's no cube removal for that. I think I should probably still have a cube in there in case it has some effect. If they gained at least 1 victory point, the defender has gained a new feud with that attacking. Add 1 defenders in the attacking family's march. Let me look to see who may have hit the Scottish West March. So I have the feeling that that was blue and pink that could have attacked there. One of them, dark blue. One of them, I think, though, went for the debatable lands. That would not have been pink. That would have been dark blue. I am going to put a light blue feuds with marker down here. I think that was valid. I'm not positive. I think that's all we have, because a lot of people went for jailbreaks with the other stuff, but I'm not absolutely certain. Dark blue has a shitload of sheep now, but they might have lost some. I've just, obviously lost the track. And if you don't do everything in the procedure, it's going to be a fuck up, right? But I think this is applicable. Just added an interesting warden. It gives a decent amount of dice. That's on 1 defense token, but all defense dice gain +1 DRM. That's always good. Most of the wardens give you that. Do all of them? I don't know. But he also gained 2 cattle through corrupt dealings if any of your defense tokens adds 2 or more dice versus a raid. That's a neat little bonus. Just, some extra income for being attacked, basically. Down to the last choice. Everybody's got 2 cards. One card they put down, one goes into the summer card discards. Nobody's taking a default action. It's really a bum deal to take a default action, like throw a card for a default action. You don't want to do that. But you might be in a position where you've got no cards, you've got only cards that require a cost or something like that, where you need to do something and get yourself some extra coins or some extra cattle that way. Those choices, the Cares have their last two cards. One is these Galloway ponies. I could gain 3 horses. The most horses you can ever support is 8 though, and I have 7 already. So that's effectively a default action. Of course, I would at least burn the card, but I don't want to pay, right? The other side is this munition of cursing. I curse their facet, their mouth, their niece, their tongue, their teeth. I bet you that's nose, niece. Their crag, their shoulders, their breast, their heart, their stomach. Basically, you can drop other people's notoriety. It's not that advantageous, but at least if I look at it, Orange, who's in the lead, can be hit in a couple of places. I'm going to take this. It gets me a cattle as well as its effect. Right? Yeah, because it's a hold card. So that's kind of sweet, I guess. Okay. Now, we're at the end of the summer, but it's turn 2, so the Abbot of Kelso and then the Keeper of Tyndale have an advantage. I gotta find them. There's the Keeper of Tyndale. Abbot of Kelso's over here. What are they going to get as their bonus? Select and play a discarded summer card for free. Maybe another office or an allied grain replacing this one. I get to look through the whole discard summer cards and get one for free. And that's the same as this. It's a powerful ability. It's a pain in the ass though, just because I have to look through the cards. And notably, the hold cards don't give me a bonus of an extra cattle. So those may be downgraded, especially compared to something that gives me, that costs a lot. The Humes here are going to play this double cross, because it is the most expensive card, but not only, they have an advantage here. They recruit a grain that was allied to another family prior to this round of card play. Oh, fuck, prior. Yeah. So I can take the Carltons, which gives me an allied bonus, but I have to give them someone. And I'll give them the Johnstons. I don't know if this was a trade with the Maxwells, what would happen. But these switch hands. I get something I'd rather have by a little bit. I don't know if that's better. I don't know. There was another, which is the Elliots, that allow you to pay extra cattle for cards, but or for extra dice. But because I have the alliance bonus, I get extra dice for free. And the idea of paying cattle, especially for me, I have none, is not very fun, is not very pleasant. Now I'm going to be getting some as wages, but remember, you don't want to go into the next turn with no cattle, and I'm not going to get a hell of a lot of income. It's enough to buy a card, but that's about it. Of course, I have a full roster. I think everybody has a full roster at this point. So then the question becomes with the turn 3 cards, how much better are they? Are they worth the replacement costs? And now Keeper of Tyndale gets to do the same thing. It wasn't as advantageous. Now, of course, I could play it as a default action or whatever, but all the cards are better than that. I chose to switch my Reaver. I had a turn 2 Reaver. This guy is a little better across the board. The only thing he's not better at is battle. I gave this guy back. This guy has the bonus of being able to pay 3 cattle, but again, I'm low on cattle. I think it's better to take this, although this one is a benefit over for the Care family. But whatever. All right, that has gotten me to the autumn. I don't want to play this, even though it's mainly mechanical. I do have to worry about the defense tokens, and I have to remember to play them this time. All right, my back is fucking hurting from doing this. All the bending and just all the manipulation across the board is really fatiguing me. I don't know. Okay, let's slip the autumn setup here. All right, so we're checking hand size, drawing random events, placing defense tokens. I can do that, and then yeah. I can do that all off camera, and I'll come back with anything interesting that's going on. Right now I'm in a position where it behooves me and Raid to take about an hour off of what I'm doing, because in an hour I will find out some things as to whether or not I should go for this next character champion event fragments that you gather. I've been kind of going for it, but I really wish I could not go for it, to tell you the truth. And I think I could just pass on it, and maybe that's the best thing to do. Bit of a shock here. The Maxwells don't have enough sheep. Yay! They lose a horsey. The hand limit is really hard to go over. Like, you have to, my feeling right so far has been, hold cards are good, but they're not as good as these face-up cards, and so I've been kind of not emphasizing them, but I could see a strategy that emphasizes them where that could really be important. And then the cattle income is of course important. This guy has a shitload of cattle, didn't manage to get enough sheep. So, this +1 DRM here on the counter, to me, answers the question that it's the defense dice for this player, which leads me no re-rolls from the event Rough Wooing may be taken in the march he's positioned in. The march is the whole area though, and this is in this white area. So I'm gonna kind of look this shit up, I guess. I don't know. I've got a bunch of sheep defenders for the Dacre family. It is possible to sneak sheep out of somebody's bed. So I will defend those. I have no need to defend my jail. Although it is possible in the second round there might be a cube in there. But, you know, I'm getting a die in defense that way. It means I succeeded in the defense already. There's no big bonus for jailbreaks. I'm going to cover... See, this is the big question. Do I cover... these only impact sheep. Do I cover the jail with my no defense dice, or do I present everyone who might flip some sheep up with what looks like an equal defense? I have no castles, no whatever they are, peels in place. And it's obvious to me that I'd rather cover my sheep all with the same defense structure. Even though, you know, it may be that this gets attacked. I mean, these can't be attacked without a card. This can't be attacked without something special happening. Let me look up that. Let me look up the warden. See what's up with that. This is not going to be easy to find, because in procedural rules it's hard to find information about things. But maybe it's in the early part. I don't know. I don't know where it would be. Like, there's no section on wardens, right? There's you play a warden, you get the little token. Then there's the you play a little token. I can't find it. Let's take a look. It might be in the resolving combat section. That would be where it would be. But what I do is I look through, hey, component list. It might be there because I can't think of any section of the rules that would cover the no rerolls from the event rough wooing, maybe taken. No, that one's okay. It's the all defense dice gain +1 DRM. That's the issue. So I look through here and I get to card decks. And summer cards, yeah, it's just telling me where they go there. Defense tokens, a warden, they get a specific if they defend. You know, what it also, I don't think says, is if you replace your warden, you replace your warden counter, which I've just been kind of assuming. There's a sloppiness to these rules if that's the case. It's funny because I'm so used to the Volko rules from the Levian campaign that tend to tell you precisely what you must do. They're procedural as well. I got my problems with that. But they are at sort of the highest end of it, although there's a weirdness in the wording in them. Yeah, I'm not getting it. This is the other kind of warden card. We keep looking. And now we're kind of at a... Yeah, I don't know. Now we have different summer card type of things, which include recruits. And here it doesn't say if you already had a warden, remove it from play. Yeah, okay. So it does cover the warden in there. But again, it's in kind of a random place. Like there's nothing that just discusses wardens, which is where you would normally look for this kind of stuff. With the procedural being the backup to an understanding of what all the components provide and do. Okay, here we cut through here. It's not going to be in place defenses. It's not going to be anywhere here. It may be in compute combat dice. Here we have this. This die roll modifier. Okay. So we have a specific for this. The warden defense token is defending this token. Is defending the target. Yeah. Okay. So that +1 DRM only applies for the token. The answer was there in both cases, which is a good thing. A very good thing. But again, it wasn't trivial to figure out where it would be. Like my first pass when I didn't use the camera, I didn't have an answer. I saw all those same things. It's just harder for me to process than a game in which concepts are highlighted over procedure, right? Okay. And now I don't know where I am and what I'm doing. I'm placing the defense tokens, and this is the problem. When I face these kind of rules where I don't know what to look up, where to look for something, I spend so much time struggling with the finding of the rule as opposed to, yeah, I know where that's going to be. That's going to be under the warden's rule, right? Where there's a general concept of what this card is about. But, yeah. These might be more parsimonious. They might be. I'm not sure. Because the thing is, all the information has to go there. Here it's structured only in the procedural order of play type sequence. Whereas in the rules that I favor, that rule is not necessarily in the procedural sequence of play section. That procedural section is really sort of a shortcut to get you to the concept areas. But it also may be possible that a game like this, there are no concepts, right? That may be the problem, and that may be why I can't get to a narrative, is there's no real concept being described by the game. Okay, I'll go on to the next one. This is kind of interesting. I've got more defense tokens than there are locations. Oh no, that's not true. There's one. Okay. It's possible to happen. I'm defending a bunch of nothing here. It's unlikely I'll end up with sheep there, though. But I'm also defending nothing in the jail, so it's all fine. But it is possible you could end up with more defense tokens than you have spaces. For the most part, you don't lose your defense tokens, so yeah, they'll just grow. Played the Cares tokens. They have a whole bunch of tokens, but honestly, most of them aren't all that great. They have a really bad set of tokens, and they have no auxiliary defense. So they're kind of in a bit of trouble. I've gathered a lot of sheep for them. Maybe focus in the wrong area. I didn't realize maybe how bad my defense tokens were. The important part about that I let my mind wander away from as my mouth ran, was that players have some idea of what their opponent's defense tokens are. Certain ones are revealed. I'm not able to remember that. This is always one of the things with solo play. People are always asking, well, how do you keep from knowing the things that your opponent has or your opponents have? How do you keep from knowing what they've got hidden and whatnot? Man, it's the information that I should have that I can't remember that's more the issue than the information that I shouldn't have. It is very seldom that I feel like, oh, I'm using information, or I might be using information that I know about where the other person places something. I'll roll a die for this decision. It is very often the case that I have no fucking clue about information that has been revealed. So what you've got is a bunch of players who aren't paying very close attention to the game. Now, when I play opposed, that's usually actually the case too. Unless I really focus on a situation, on particular pieces of information, I tend to forget things, which is one of the reasons why I'm kind of cool with hidden trackable information. I just see that as part of the way brains work, and if I'm focusing more on strategy and less on known information, that I don't see in front of me, or even stuff that I do see in front of me that I just don't pay attention to, right? I figure other people have other advantages, right? They might be paying more attention. Now I'm using rights as ums, and that's just weird, isn't it? They might be paying attention to different facets, different capabilities of their mind than I am. And I just see that all as a wash. And if you take away the advantage of the people who can think, who can remember stuff better, well, is it really fair, that I'm still allowed to have my strategizing mechanisms in play? Or the fact that I know some probability and stuff like that? I don't know. Well, here we're at something where it's really exciting and can have a lot of impact on everything. All the defense tokens are out. Some of the players don't have very, they have their starting allotment, basically. Border beacons, +1 defense die, available to the defender during any raid on a farm region, receiving dice from a permanent defense. That makes castles and peels, where they're garrisoned, harder than they were. Red Swire, this is a battle. Whoever wins it gets +2 notoriety, and it's 3 victory points for each fight in it. This is going to be an English Middlemarch. Remember, 2 people can play in this. And Loch Maben Fair, another battle, same kind of values, except this one's in the Scottish West March. Battles tend to be pretty interesting. They generate a lot of notoriety. They generate a fair amount of victory points. We compare that, feud generates the same kind of victory points. But here I'm facing, fixed defenses of 1 die each. That's pretty light. So they become an appealing target as far as I'm concerned. And that's my 3 events. I don't have to worry about, the fact there's extra spaces there or anything like that. At this point, I actually I screwed up. I placed my defense tokens before I picked the random events. Oops. I'm going to stick with them. I don't think anything really got impacted by these choices. This is a little different, but I was already counting, the fortifications as being an addition to the defense, and I feel like all those choices were made correctly. There's nothing really wacky going on here that I have to back up my choice on. And now we go to the winter, and I really don't want to do the winter, so we're going to put that off. It's going to take me several days to get, because I go dancing tomorrow night, and I'm in the midst of a lot of raid. It's going to take me several days to get each turn out, but it's just the way, there's no excitement to playing this for me, to playing it. Okay, maybe playing by the solo rules would be less miserable. I'll grant it that, and I would enjoy it more because it's less miserable. But I wouldn't be getting any idea of what the game would be like as an opposed game if I play by the solo rules. And that's my real goal here. I play this, hey, I never want to play it again, either by solo rules or by these rules, as a solo game. But do I want to play it as an opposed game? My feeling is, so far, I put it in the same realm as a lot of Euros in terms of how much I want to play it, which is not very much at all. Honestly, if somebody else had the game, I wouldn't bring it, and I wouldn't suggest it probably, unless it's, I just played it like I just did. But, because then it's on top of my mind, and it's easier to teach and whatnot. But I don't think I'd have a big objection to playing it either. If somebody else suggested it or brought it. As an opposed game, I think I'd have a fun time. I'm just not all that thrilled. Like, it's too busy. There's too much information overload. Same problem I had with the Europa Universalis pop, or as I call it, EU pop. You start giving me an information overload, and I'm really not thrilled. It stinks of modern Euros to me. The idea in such a case, where the information overload is there, is what I consider an obfuscatory mechanism. It's something that keeps you from being able to really understand the game state and make good strategic decisions, because there's just more than your mind can hold on to at once going on. In some cases, that is emergent. So like in 18XX, in some of them it starts getting ugly. But in 18XX, all the different possible choices that all the players have, that are all in front of you and everything, leave you with, yeah, you can't predict what's going to happen. And that's how a game should be, right? It should be the pathways of choices. Not so much I don't know how many dice you're going to get if I hit the wrong thing and all this kind of stuff. Really, this just overloads you with so much information that you're making your judgments the way you would in a war game, right? Which is, gosh, I think I've got enough type of feeling. So it appeals to the wargamer in me in that sort of sense, that like I'm making decisions not based on overall calculation of all the different pathways, but on the guesses. I do the same thing in 18XX. But here the reason for the guesswork is a little different. The reason for the guesswork, how different? I don't know. If I'm allowed to look at all the counters and figure out all the odds and everything, I can conceivably look at all the different pathways that might be taken. But I'm not willing to put the effort into looking at all the counters and certainly not trying to figure all the pathways. The figuring all the pathways feels more like an 18xx feel to it in terms of why I'm not willing to do that. I am willing to look at counters to a small extent and see, do I have enough of an advantage to make it go here? And, we'll do that here. We'll look for what looks like a weak space. Hey, there's lots of sheep here and only one defense counter. But the defender knew that these were rich spaces and these maybe not so much. And probably didn't defend their 2 sheep spaces as much as their 3 sheep spaces. I may just roll a die for which one I choose, because it really is a guessing game at that point. What I won't know is their special abilities on defense. Now, there aren't a lot of special abilities on defense, and that's kind of a good thing, but when you're preparing a defense, you want to take in mind stuff like that. So, for example, the fact that there's a blue cube here probably means that this player wants to study this guy's capabilities and see whether or not he's really all that good at doing a feud. If he's not, I might get away with a lesser defense there and worry more about the sheep that I'm protecting, or whatever. Anyway, la la la. Another one of these foggy mornings. I love them. And they hurt so much at the same time because, whatever. But couldn't sleep. On the bright side, I gave up on going after the event in Raid, so I'm going to have a couple of weeks where I'm free, not of Raid, but I'm free of, like, the cycle of really demanding events that continuously comes at me. One thing, I'm going to come back and I'm going to do the beginning of the winter, probably the first half of winter. But somebody pointed out that when I pronounce this Berwick, as I'm so used to doing, it's what it looks like, that it's Berwick. There's actually a pronunciation guide for a number of things. Also, I don't even remember what this was. But when you start getting to these dropping the consonants, you know what it really reminds me of? It's a movement towards the Cockney accent, where you drop even more. Just to keep that in mind. Anyway, I'm going to pronounce things as I do. I fuck up the pronunciation of French towns, of German places, of all kind of other places. I'm not going to put too much effort into trying to get the correct pronunciations. I can't bother. If I'm in the area and I have to worry about, am I supposed to pronounce it Houston or Houston in this part of the country? Yeah, sure. I need to get directions, but it's just not that important to me. The thing is, most of the people watching these are English speakers. Some percentage of them are from England or or Scotland, and therefore it's gonna grate more than when I fuck up, a Belgian town or something. Don't worry about it. Seriously. Okay. So I'm at the beginning, and this is, remember the first turn we did a random draw out of the cup, but we don't need to do that anymore. In fact, I only need 1 cup now. That's how you make 1 cup out of 2. So actually what I do here is reverse VP order. Now luckily for me, everybody has unique victory point numbers, so I don't have to look at the tiebreakers, but we'll just fill those out. Gotta worry about my I've got some sort of dyslexia with this number board. I don't know why. I've talked about it before. So there we go, just to know where they all go. And now everybody picks their targets. They have a limited quantity of targets now because they've used 2 of them already. They will use all but one of these. Just like they used just like the packets, all but one of the cards get used. There's six places, 6 times you have to pick from a hand of 7. The Warden isn't going to generally present you with points, but it can give you a powerful defensive advantage if you're late in the turn, which is a reason to look. We're also looking at 2 battles on the grounds with people who have various advantages in those battles based on their notoriety, etc. There's a lot of calculation that goes into the choice of what you're going to do in each pick. And you know, I understand why that's appealing to a lot of people. For me, again, it feels like it's pushing the limits of how much I want to calculate is what it's really doing. But okay, we shall do it. And you know, to some extent, I'm willing to play it by ear and not calculate it out, because generally that works okay. Sometimes I'm left, though, in a game like this thinking, I don't know, I tried to make good decisions and I came in way at the bottom and have no clue why. And, you know, people will explain, well, like, you calculate this out and this out, and I'm like, yeah, I'm used to being able to kind of guess and get it right. I don't know. Like, I have some interesting thought, though, regarding the Dacre family here. Dacre. I don't know. They're going last. They're in the lead in victory points. They would make a great target. So there's this initial impulse, throw the Warden in here. But here's the thing, they'll be going last next round, too. And maybe will not be as apparently in a good position. Certainly if I play the Warden right away, I'm going to lose position and rank, but it may make sense for me to hold off. Especially since maybe I have a card, well, I'm probably not going to be able to do the battle there. What is that? That is SWM. Okay, I'm not going to have an SWM. I could go for a raid here or a battle. But if I play the wild cards, I have to pick one or the other. I can't possibly do a battle. And so I have to make sort of a decision as to where I want to go. The other thing is, this doesn't tell you everything about the world, right? There's end of game victory points that are based on, you know, how many sheep and horses and stuff like that you have. So that's not giving you the full story of how far ahead you are or behind. Again, another pile of stuff I don't want to calculate each turn to figure out. If I'm tracking victory points, I feel like I should just see them, right? You know, like I do in a coin game where, yeah, I know the relative victory points. There's an automatic victory position there, and otherwise, you know, and Here I Stand does the same thing, right? Where there's just, you can see how many victory points each player has, essentially, and make a judgment based on that. Anyway, maybe not. You can see how many keys they have, which is something different. So this becomes difficult. Like, I don't think I want to play the Warden on the first card. I might want to play it on the last card, but, you know, if I'm in the lead in the next round, that might be a very, very powerful card, so I may want to withhold it till then. Consideration that I didn't go too far into, so I've got like these SMM, SEM, which are over here. Now, neither of them are going to have a battle available for them, which kind of sucks. Like, maybe I want to play this card, but what I was thinking, not only do I have to calculate what I'm okay at here and what I'm bonused at, and consider this, this is played. Okay. Wow, that's really annoying. I'm never going to remember that when I have to play that. Because it's not at a time when I'd normally be looking at my hold cards. Like, I like the idea of playing it next to my march as a reminder. So if I play it during place notoriety, it would make sense. I may leave this face up so I remind myself during the attacks. But yeah, I gotta think about. So if I pick one of these, which give me an option to get into that battle if I want to, and therefore this is the more appealing of them. But one thing that I want to consider is where can I get my notoriety points? And here I get 2 notoriety in SWM, EWM. That's these, which kind of sucks, or the debatable land. But it kind of sucks in the sense that, like, these are the places I can't hit. I've used the cards that hit them already, I think. I've got the EWM battle card. I can always fight in my own area. But, yeah, one of the things that I will want to do is be able to generate some notoriety to get me an extra die in the fight that I'm fighting in, maybe an extra 2 dice if I'm lucky. But all the notoriety everywhere except on the west marches, I'm sorry, they should probably be pronounced Maz, are out of my reach. Like, I can't even generate a point from them. And the only places I can play are here and in the debatable land. Now, do I want to play a card that gets me into the debatable land? This one gives me that option. So this is really the card that I want to play. And I'm going to probably throw my points into the debatable land. If I get that far, I'll get an extra point in there. So that's my thinking there. I'm not going to spend this time thinking. I didn't intend to do that here, but I just want to give an idea of, like, the game's gotten more complex. There's more shit on the board. You know, it kind of reminds me, I've mentioned it a couple of other games, but Space Core over here. The way, again, things just start getting more and more complex. But unlike that game, where your choices get more and more complex as the game goes on, in this one, your options are getting reduced at the same time. So one of the things is, if you fuck up early on and use the wrong cards from here, you might not have the options you really want later in the game. This is the second time I've played, and I don't have that sort of internalized as to what is safe to play the first time. The first time I played, I was blundering around completely. I feel like I kind of am still. All the cards were played face down, now they've been turned face up, and now the orange player has to make a choice as to where to drop his notoriety. Let's see what he's got. He's got 2 in the western marches. He's got 1 in the English territory marches. And that's it. Now, looking at my own choices, I have options here. For example, if I get a choice to do the EMM, I can do a battle there. That would give me this one. It's not, that marker is not going to help me. I could start building up some notoriety, but I just don't think that's worth it. I think I just want to put it in my own, keep myself in first place there, get the 3 points each turn, because otherwise, you know, I'm just not going to get an advantage there. But I get 2 here, SWM, EWM. Is this my color? I'm in the lead here in the Scottish West March. I would be able to compete in this battle, maybe. Maybe. But I doubt it. I'm going to, again, play for first place here in the Scottish West March. I can't hit the Scottish West March. Well, I can. Remember, those allow me to hit anywhere. So, maybe. My card doesn't help me. I got to make this choice, though, for each player as I go down the list. Let's, okay, I did my thinking there. Now I'm on dark blue. Same kind of thought. Where am I going to put my notoriety? It's a hard call. I've already made certain decisions here, right? What have I made decisions? EEM, EWM. I've made a decision that I'm not going into a battle. SMM battle I would be allowed in. My cards, well, this is a battle card, so I'm not going to be using this. This is my notoriety card. I get to bone other families that are in the lead in certain locations. That's of some value. Where can I hit again? I don't remember, because I can't think. You know, EEM, EWM. That's those two. I have nothing special in any of them, but that might be okay. What do I have here? SMM and EMM, and that's going to be 1. Here it's 2 in SWM and or SMM. Over here. SWM was not in my play. SMM is just battle. I'm basically, by playing this card, I'm giving up my bonus for being able to be there. Unless, it depends on what I played before, right? Yeah, I've played all my location cards, so all I have is bonus cards left. This one is SWM, SMM, SEM, anywhere in the Scots territory. And then I have this thing. What am I trying to do? I don't remember. I'm trying to hit EEM, EWM, or maybe fight there. Fight there sounds pretty cool. I'm not particularly good at it, but it sounds pretty cool. And I do get bonus dice and stuff. So, and I have lots of horsies. What am I doing? I don't know again. I'm trying to balance out all this information that I have to do on this single action, this single simple action. Because I have to take everything into fucking consideration to figure it out. Now, what was I going to do? Yeah, I'm going to probably try to hit that. I think that was my attempt, to hit that with a feud. Is that really what I intended? Probably not. Maybe I wanted to raid. I'm not all that good at raiding either, though. Okay. What does all that mean? I don't know. I just don't fucking know. SMM, EMM. That's the middle marches. SMMs. I can put these two into here, and I'll downgrade him. That's 1. We won't downgrade him yet, because it's too confusing. SWM, SMM. That's 2 more. I'll put another one. Yeah, I won't do that. I'll put one in here. I'll keep this one. SMM or EMM. I'm going to boost this, giving me more opportunity there. Now, I can play this card before I trigger this, which means 1 I take there. Where else? 2, I think I reduce this. Can I hit the debatable lands? In a march. I don't think the debatable lands is a march. 3 I'll hit here. And 4 kind of has to be here. That kills my card. I still have 1 that I put in here and give myself an advantage. Did I do everything on that card? Was it just reduce? It was just reduce. So I think I've done everything I'm supposed to do for blue. You can see the amount of like agony and angst in trying to figure out what the fuck I'm going to do on each action. Now this is going to face each player in a multiplayer game. It's not going to be as strong because here I'm going one at a time across these. I'm on pink. What did pink choose to do? Pink was planning on going to battle. They're the second of the English. Fenwick is probably what I'm going to be hitting. Well, Fenwick is probably going to hit this one, is my guess. Let's look at them. They're going for any battle as well. Well, I don't know. They're not in the lead over here, so what's my notoriety situation? Mine is 1 anywhere, 2 in the English territories, 2 in the English West and the English Middle, bonus in battle that I'm planning on using. Okay. What if I put IMEE? I'll put 2 here. I'll put 2 more there. I'll put 1 more there. And that gets me a pretty big jump on that. That may make it so Fenwick doesn't want to go there. I don't know. If he had had one of his normal cards, I'd be more afraid of him. Now we go down to him. What was his plan? I don't know. He's planning on going to battle. What are his chits? A notoriety in any march. No bonus there. 2 notoriety, SEM and EEM. Not exactly what I'd want. There's no battles over there. What do I got? I got football match. Complicated card. It looked like a good idea when I picked it. After thinking about it, each other family in reverse winter order, so in the same order we're going in here, may move a defense token from the map back to their box and roll the highest number of dice shown on that token. Hits rolls of 5 or 6. Each hit allows them to add 1 notoriety to any march. Then you get 6 dice without having to remove a token, applying hits in the same fashion. I want to play this first. Okay. Each other family in reverse order. So orange has first choice. Do they want to remove a token? Geez, I don't fucking know. So now they have to go over their decision-making process again as to what they were trying to do impacted by all this. This card is a fucking nightmare for processing everything. I clearly don't want to take one that doesn't have many dice. Am I being targeted? That's an interesting question. You would think I am because I'm in the lead, but maybe I'm not. So we're looking at EWM. There's an EWM possibility here Blue didn't set themselves up for it. I could, of course, this is what I should be doing to determine my capability, you know, the possibility is I should be looking at care. Hey, how are you at EWM? Okay, you don't have anything there, you don't have anything there, you don't have anything there. And there's no battle, so we're looking at a 1-die attack. That's not too bad. All right, who else can hit? This is a march with battle. Now I have to worry about pale blue because they can do this. This is a battle. This is a battle. This one potentially could hit me with a feud. Okay, so now I got to look at feud. And what am I? I don't remember. Is this actually the player I'm doing? I don't fucking know. Yes, I'm trying to figure out if the orange player wants to remove anything. Okay. So far, dark blue could have hit me. And I mean, I have to do this 6 times for that, well, 5 times for that card. And then one more different time where I'm not looking at a withdrawal, but I'm, you know, just doing the normal bonusing that I would be doing. And I don't have any pips on pink anymore. I don't think this is pink. This is color magenta or whatever it is that should be red but isn't. Yeah, it's like this weird lipstick color. I hate lipstick. I hate all makeup, but that's okay. I mean, every now and then it can be an interesting thing, but in general, it's just a way of hiding. Like general usage just doesn't make sense to me. Okay, where am I? Who am I? Why am I? What the fuck am I doing here? Yeah, I'm trying to figure out orange. I'm trying to figure out if orange wants to hide anything. So dark blue can hit me with raids. All right, so sheep are in danger, and this is in danger. That's everything. Do I want to roll for 5s or 6s to get anything? Well, sure. This wouldn't be bad. Wow, that's a pretty good roll. I might withdraw that one. Anywhere else where I've got 2 sheep down? Could do that one, but I will do this one instead. And I will pull 3 dice, 5s or 6s. I get nada. And my token goes back here. I've lost a defensive token and gotten nothing for it, but, you know, that's life. All right, that was orange's choice under this. I've got no way to mark that except to put like a die here. And I need to change batteries. Now dark blue gets to go through that same process of trying to figure out whether or not it's worth withdrawing one of their defensive markers. Are they under attack anywhere? And, you know, they have to assess all the possibilities of places where people can attack, compare that to what their bonuses are, and this is really what you should be doing across the board in terms of like trying to figure out where your notoriety goes and everything. And everything, like, you know, where you're going to attack and stuff like that. Every single decision needs to be informed by all this information I'm giving you. This particular one, though, feels most poignant because there I go, pronouncing them letters again when they're there, because this can impact the notoriety changes. You know, this can grant me notoriety, so it's like giving me something for free if I can find a place where I'm absolutely safe, especially where I've got a really powerful defensive token, like this guy did, 3 defense. It seemed like a great idea. Now, he didn't have to do all that analysis. That looks safe, you know. My my sheep are well protected. I see an argument being made for, hey, just make your decision quickly. You know, play the game as if you have a 30-second timer on each decision or something like that, max, so that you can't do all this calculation. But then you're no longer playing the game that's designed, right? Like, I don't know how to put this, but all that information is out there and open. Should it not be analyzed? Right? And this is the problem I always get myself into. Like, if I just play it by ear, I make shitty decisions. I don't like making shitty decisions. But if I try to analyze it, I quickly find that there's a huge amount of information available that can be fully analyzed to come up with what what is safe to do. And here it really is a matter of, is this safe or is it not? It's not something I can play by ear. I need to absorb this as well as how capable the opponent's going to be at hitting that anyway. Because if they're just going to bring a die or something in there, if they're just going to bring their horses, maybe it's safe to do. On the other hand, there are a lot of horses on a lot of the players at this point. So maybe it's only really safe when you do something like this where you were defending something that didn't really matter. I'm going to do the rest of them off video to spare both of us a lot of agony, because it's going to be easier for me to do the analysis and to also just say, screw it, I'm not going to do the analysis if I do it that way. And I'll just show the results. And I won't be able to explain what happened because cubes are just going to move. That's all that's going to happen, you know. That's the only narrative I can give you, is that if I can remember it all, somebody moved some cubes. Back with some hard thinking again. Here I am at Chillingham. There's two players who have the possibility of doing about a feud against me. But you know, they're going first, and one of them put a wild card for battle. He's still able to hit these because they're in an English march. And same thing with him. He's able to hit feud or jailbreak as well. But do I think that they'll give up the battle for that? I don't know. I really don't know. I could pull a pretty damn good 3 dice if that was the case. Alternatively, this is my castle. I could pull this and just get 1 die, or I could do nothing at all. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, sorry. 1 here, 2, the sheep that gives me something. 3, I don't pull anything. I will not pull anything. We'll just keep moving this down. And now I keep going. It gets worse. I skipped some people. I'm starting to make the decisions lighter. Here, I had a very simple one. I had a die roll on a jailbreak that I have nothing in. Yeah, sure, somebody could end up in jail, and I could end up, you know, with an undefended jail for the second round of winter. Too bad. I pulled that out, rolled a die, got 1 thing. Now, I'm planning on hitting a battle here, so I boosted this. I shouldn't do that. What I should be doing, actually, before I do that, is calculate out where I'm going to be putting my extra notoriety on the next turn. Because maybe I want to boost this up where I'm in the lead and could go to second or something like that. Just, it's like, fuck it, man. I can't cope. I cannot cope with the amount of layers of decision making and calculation that are coming into this. It's like, I don't do this shit for OCS, okay? Like, I've seen Gunny Sergeant posted some videos long ago on how to conduct a proper attack in the OCS. And he's like, you basically prefigure everything. You do it as if you're a logistics officer, and you absolutely know what amount of ammo and supplies and everything you need. That's not how I play it. I throw way too much ammo into an area and as many troops as I can, and I just hope for the best. And luckily I don't play against other people. But this feels like it's as much work to figure out, can I, which action should I take? Which choice should I make? It's just so paralyzing. And there's unlike OCS, there's not a narrative framework that I can kind of like sort of use a role-playing type aspect to it of, yeah, let's throw some more armor in there. I'm a little worried, just sort of by feel. I can't do it by feel in this because this is a mathematical exercise and that's it. There is no story here. There is no, I screwed up, kind of feeling to it. I don't know. It's just, when you take things too abstract, I become more and more into dealing with the mathematical puzzle that I'm presented with each moment. Now, I hate doing that, so I usually don't. But if I do try to win a game like this, I am an AP nightmare because it's wheels within wheels spinning to try to come up with the calculation. It's really like my circular slide wheel was. All notoriety's been played out. You can see we got some pretty big stacks going on. Again, problematic thing with the cubes. Smaller cubes wouldn't be as bad, I guess. I don't know. But these guys are so big that there's the possibility of some pretty annoying sized towers of cubes. Now we're at the select the target region, and here we're going to start going in the opposite order. I will just play them down and tell you about them because it's so much less annoying to be doing it off camera. One of the problems, first of all, I think you should compute the battle dice totals. Oh, I don't know how many sheep I have. I must have bumped it. 2, 4, 6. It was on the right place. I think you should compute the battle dice ahead of time because that gives everyone a view so they don't have to come over and look at all your stuff. Because you play your held attack cards and everything all during your select target realm. That's all done in player order. Then you simultaneously compute battle dice. I say bullshit to that because if I want to go into that battle against you, I'm going to want to know how many dice you're going to have and how likely you are to be successful in it. And so I'm going to come over and calculate all your shit for you, even if you didn't do it. Plus, in order to make the judgment of whether or not I can hit it hard enough, how many horses to put in whatever, I kind of have to put the battle dice down. And I may change my mind. Wow, that's a bad idea once I start calculating. So if I'm not doing that, at least mentally, then I'm going to make bad decisions. So I think it's a really horrible idea to have compute combat dice down here. I think that... Oh, feud gets rid of the dice. Did anybody do an attack on a feud? I don't think so. I don't know. Yeah, so this is what I missed, was this feud, remove all cubes when computing dice but before resolution. I don't think I found it here. I'm sure it's in here. Like, I look at feud, and it doesn't say it here. But seeing as it's under compute combat dice, I'm sure it's under there. Feud cubes, it specifies return these cubes after, but before, yeah. So that's not really very useful to me because if I'm looking here, I'm not going to see that the feud kills all the cubes. And yeah. Oh, there's a reason for multiple cubes on a feud. Because it gives you multiple dice bonuses. I don't know if we had that. I mean, fuck it. I don't know what's going on anymore. I think there's probably another orange cube here. Yeah. And this is just horrible because this is the only place that I noticed this during play. right? Like, I start using the shortcuts for play, and I don't see that until it's too late. Okay. So where am I? I figured out Green's play. Green is playing all these horses. They've got those dice set up. They've made their choice. Now I go to blue. Now here's the problem. Green has to commit what they're putting here before whoever's going to play on the defensive side gets to do anything. Now, we got another Scot who's probably going to do another battle, but yeah. So it's not always to your advantage. It's often to your advantage to go early because you get to claim this. I get to claim the fact that I'm the Scottish family involved in this battle. But I don't get to claim... but by claiming that, by going early, if I go earlier than the opposition, I don't get... I'm at a bit of a disadvantage. So it's kind of a bonus for the English to be the first English person or second English person going. Just a weird, interesting little tidbits there. Who got shafted? The battle they were counting on fighting and having an advantage in? Well, not really. They've fallen tied for second, so they would get nothing. But the battle they were planning on fighting isn't going to be available to them. So I don't know what they're going to do. They have to now rethink their entire position because what they were planning on fighting in was the battle in their own home territory, and now they're going to fall behind there. And it's kind of a thing, like getting your notoriety up in an area where you're going to score potentially more notoriety is really a bonus, I think. To represent the dike by putting it up there, because otherwise I'll forget about it. I'm going to use this, which gives me a reroll of up to 4 dice. Whatever. I'm going for the debatable lands. That way I'm the only person going for that. But that opens things up for the last Scots person to make a battle over here. And they are actually unable to do it. So that will be an uncontested battle for the English, I believe. Who knows? Start to calculate out the grays. They've got a wild card for battle. I hate to use it anywhere else, but there's already English in fight here. I look at what he's got, and he's collected up 8 dice against 1. I calculate out my own, and I'm looking at 1 die plus however many horses I want to put in. Now, he put in 4 horses, but he got 4 bonus dice in there. I have 1 bonus die from this. None of this really helps me. Wait, I should get one for the grains. I could buy additional dice with cattle, which is an interesting concept. So I think I am going to launch the attack. I'm going to spend some cattle to buy those additional dice. I'm not thrilled with this, but I have a lot of cattle available, and I'm able to buy 2 additional dice with cattle and be able to overcome him. But it's going to be an expensive fight. And I was looking at, wow, if I throw in, say, all 5 of my horses, I would be at 5, 6, 7 to his 8. Now, I do have the advantage that there's no defense dice, so there's no chance of me being blocked. But if I up the totals, I can get a lot of victory points there, plus I can get the notoriety gain. Although, this is not where I wanted it. I wanted the fight down here, but I got nabbed out of that. I'm not going to get the notoriety there, where it would actually be useful to me. However, I don't want to use my +1 wildcard for battle. Am I being stupid there? Maybe I should go and do a jailbreak, right? I don't know. I got a lot of fucking horses, though. As many as I can support. You know, it's like... I'll do the battle. I tell you, I want to stop again. I want to stop. I got to fight these fuckers out. But it's just so fucking tiring to set all this shit up for the attacks. and my back is just not happy. And of course, it's Friday. I should be asleep already. I should be asleep long ago. I'm always in this shit. See, it's like daylight out, man. Not supposed to be awake during daylight, am I? All right. So all the attacks are out, I think, I hope. I tried. I should have put little ones next to each one, and then I pick them up and they'd come off. And we should have calculations on everybody's chart as to what they're doing. And now, surprise, surprise, I figure out what I planned for, because I don't remember anymore by the time it gets around to me. And I gotta say, if people were putting this much effort in, if I put a lot of effort in to figure out what was going on and I was early in the turn, I wouldn't remember what the fuck I had chosen by the time it got around to here. I'd be talking other shit, because this game has got no story, it's got nothing of interest, to follow. And it's just a mathematical exercise in probabilities and whatnot over a really complex manifold. It is a modern heavy Euro with the ability to attack one another. All right, so let's see what I got here. I've got green. It doesn't look like I played any cards. I don't know. Is there anything special? I don't think so. I don't think I see anything. So it looks like 8 dice to 1. I don't want to roll them in front of you. This is clearly wrong. I couldn't have 4 horses here. I must have taken them from dark blue. I shouldn't have this many dice. I got like 2 hits off of it, and then I realized I picked from the wrong person. You know what? I'm done. I am done. This is just no fucking fun. I don't know what to do. This is 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I pulled from here, and it's just it's the confusion of the spacing. It's happened too many times. This is fucking killing me. Maybe I come back. Maybe I play some more. I don't know, but I am done for today. And there is a fair chance that this is it, because this is really a fucking miserable experience. All the misery of a big modern Euro with lots of dice chucking to boot. Here we are on Sunday morning, and I'm hoping to get shopping done today, because there's something weird happening this week where somebody's going to drop by and try to get the log off my roof. But beyond that, I did come up with a way of sort of fixing this, I think, where the cost for that first card was assimilated in the right place. I've got the pieces on blue in the correct place. So I'm going to go with that as my goal, and I'm going to get rid of this card because that fight has taken place. That means I get to keep going, right? And I will start working my way through them as best I can. Yes, I should just probably quit. I'm not having any fun with this. I'm not showing you anything useful in the game beyond, look, it's a dice chucking competitive Euro type situation. There's so little else to this, from my point of view at least. Pale blue, the Maxwells managed to get a sheep from the territory, the debatable lands. Not great. And now debatable lands is canceled out by this, right? Except if there's, what the fuck is this? I may have forgotten something here. Available for the defender during raid. Yeah, okay. That'll help. And I moved that sheep up here where it's defended by the castle, and I've got a pretty good defense token there. I also upgraded the number of points of sheep that I have, doing all the mechanical things. resolved this battle. Now, this is not necessarily undefended. It's undefended this round, but in the second round, a Scottish lord could still go in there. So, with only one cube as a success, there's a fair amount of a fair amount of incentive for somebody else to go in there, because he just did not have a very good setup there. What was this? Oh shit, I forgot that. But I had +1s, and that was already accounted for, so I actually did not get any more. On the other hand, has fully been resolved. The Greys managed, and not as in the aliens, managed to get 3 successes, which means they're going to win the battle. Both sides have already collected their victory points. Boom, lots. And I will take these off the board and this off the board. And that means the pink get 2 notoriety in this area. Good points for them, but you know, not that great a point value over here, I guess. I don't know. As well as no other gains for either side. You know, I got 2 notoriety. I've been looking at these battles as a valuable thing to go after. I'm not so sure that they are. They're kind of iffy. You don't get anything except, you know, a little bit of notoriety, maybe somewhere where it doesn't make a damn bit of difference to you, and the victory points. Now, yeah, I don't know. It does not look good to me. As a payoff, you may want to hold off until the battle is somewhere where you particularly want that notoriety. Remember, somewhere there was something about removing the feud cubes. It's not here. Is it over here? I don't know. It's not here. Feud. Remove all cubes after computing dice or before resolution. Yes. So this feud is over, or the reasons for it are over. I rolled my dice. I end up getting just 1 hit. We haven't done a feud yet, which is going to cause me to get 3 victory points for that. This was at 30, if I recall correctly. And there was no blockage and no special effects there. But I also get the reward of 2 notoriety. I don't get the if less hits. If more hits, if less hits. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that is. Because you don't get hits as this, and what's going on? If more or less than what? More than blocks? I don't know. This is somewhere. Whichever side scored more hits. There are no hits here for the defender on a feud. This is probably in the fucking in the errata, but I don't give a shit about this game enough to care. So the side which scored more hits gains 2 notoriety in the province, and the side which scored less loses 1. So that happens. This happens. These go back here, but there's more, because I got a hit. I don't get any horses. Okay, it's not a jailbreak. Why is this upside down? I don't know the answer to that. I had a die in defense. Just don't have an answer why I turned that upside down. That may have just been a mistake, or not. I don't know. It's been too long to remember. Problem with shopping in this circumstance, I'm looking outside. It's an okay enough day. It's going to be nice enough. There's not going to be any rain. The next couple days are too, but I've got to worry about like having to send an email to someone. Hey, don't stop by. I'm probably going shopping. Also, I am really low on food. Like I'm out of all the sandwich stuff that I could make. I have bread, but nothing else to go on sandwiches. And sandwiches are my lifeblood. But I'm not feeling well, right? Like I feel a little ill. Walked home in a thick fog last night, and I'm also really like, didn't get enough sleep. Like I got enough sleep over the course of yesterday during the daylight hours, but then of course that means I didn't sleep much over the night. Of course, that might be the case for the next couple days too, and it's just this horrible cycle that I'm in where I'm not up in the daytime. There's no rewards for it on most days, and it's hideous. I got one last attack to do here. It's another feud. How are the dice on it? I don't know. I didn't turn this over. Why didn't I turn this over? Wow, lots of dice. That's not good. And the cube goes away. Got a big hit there. No blocks. 4 hits on that. Feuds are worth 3 each. So that's going to be some 12 for him. Putting him way in the lead. This game is so totally not worth the effort involved in it. It's just, Jesus, for me. I mean, I'm sure there are people who get a kick out of it. Fuck you. That flips over. And now we also get the 2 notoriety bonus and do a notoriety hit. Everybody's in this one. Well, not quite. Somebody's not. I don't know what color. That color. A Fenwick's. They have a park somewhere in Boston. All right, so we've done that. Now we go back up to picking new target cards for the second round throw. And I don't want to do this, I'm gonna go away because this is just so fucking miserable, and so it's so fucking soulless, and it's just, I don't know. It's just like a mechanism for creating this dice fest with a point salad as your reward at the end. Yummy. Just what I fucking want. Oh, that's one thing I have for food. I have a lot of spinach left. Of course, I didn't eat it. Because I didn't eat any because I had this rotting fancy lettuce to eat. All right. I got dressed, gathered up my shopping stuff, headed out, and just as I kind of got into the park, it started drizzling a little bit. I'm like, okay. The sky is weird. You can see a lot of gray up there. And I was having these worries, hey, it's going to rain more, whatever. By the time I got to the end of the park, and that's a good, I don't know, several blocks in city space, it's actually kind of raining. Not real hard, but it's raining, and there's no sign that it's going to let up. So I turn around and I head home, blocked by the rain, right? It was already too late in the day. I shouldn't have been going, but I'm like, there'll be some daylight left when I get back. Like some twilight that I can navigate through the woods. and not get run over or whatever. Anyway, on my way back, about halfway there, the rain kind of stops and things clear up. It's like it is now, where it's, you know, kind of uncertain. I wouldn't have chosen to pull the trigger on going if it had looked this uncertain when I left. Like, when I started getting ready. When I left the house, it was already looking a little gray. But I mean, the weather changed pretty quickly. Anyway, all this means is I'm up a little earlier than raid demands of me. And we're going to pick the second card for this winter. We maintain the same order. There's no notoriety or anything on this one. So let's go. The Warden may be even more powerful on the second card because, let's take a look at this guy. He's got a really powerful defensive chit that's been exposed. If somebody were to attack and they can't, the jail, because the feuds with has already been hit, if somebody were to attack the jail or whatever, that's the only thing that this would count for, I could use a Warden to move that. So if your good counter's already been revealed, it might be a nice time to drop your Warden. There's no value for him because this can't be used at any of the in any of the sheep fields, and I don't think anybody else defended actually. Again, the decisions are kind of funny. I haven't looked at this. This would be useful. Gotta remember that for defense. I don't have much defending this, but there isn't a hell of a lot more that I have token-wise that could defend it. So the idea of putting a Warden out, I'd get an extra die because one of those has extra dice on it. It has 2 dice instead of 1. And I'd get the +1 defense, but I think I'm just gonna, choose to do sort of the most restrictive of my options and see what happens after that. But I'm way ahead in victory points. I should be a fucking target. One of the problems is the mechanisms of the game are complex enough, and this happened to me with Advanced Civ, right? In Civilization, the game was a simple sort of horse race of victory points, essentially. It wasn't victory points. It was advances in civilization, right? Advances into different ages. Victory points were sort of a tiebreaker if you ended up, well, whatever the points were. They were a tiebreaker if you ended up passing all, the eras as quickly as anyone else. But it was this nice, fairly simple flow of a game with very, very light rules, not a lot of mechanical complexity to it. Advanced Civ added all this game state with additional, advanced cards and whatnot, technologies, whatever. And what's much worse is they took away that simple horse race aspect. Here you have a simple victory point thing, but the victory points ought to be something that you can kind of see on one dimension, like money is in 18XX, or the advances of civilization were in Civ. Here it's just this fucking complex point salad where it's hard to tell what you're going to do, what it's going to what it's going to pay off is. There might be all kinds of, so they did charts for what cards are available and everything in the game. What they didn't do is the useful breakdown of charts of expected points per dice and stuff like this. It really does have to get down to that. What you're doing is you're trying to solve an optimization problem over a very complex manifold. And that is the key to what most modern Euros are all about, these heavier ones. And this fits into that. Sure, it has some competition between players where you're attacking each other. Who cares about that, right? It's not going to have a lot of impact. The real impact is how many points can you accumulate through each of your actions. It's funny, I spent some time making the effort to pick these. Cares are planning on going after that battle. you can't really tell a damn thing about the game because I'm not going through all the analysis of each fucking card. But there's a lot of effort into analyzing the cards and which one you want to do. And it's kind of wasted because I want to leave now. I'm tired at this point. I'm tired after having selected. But I've done the effort of picking these, so I should at least put the tokens down in the horses. Maybe not resolve them. So I'll try to do that, but man, this game just, I have no joy in this. Like none whatsoever. And I would have I would have none playing it opposed either. I mean, the only pleasure I would get is the pleasure of being around people who are playing a game. This would just be one of those where I stop paying any attention to the game and just socialize or whatever. This is god awful for me. Also, are having a hell of a time finding an attack they want to make. They set themselves up with a card that would allow them to do the battle here at lowest possible cost. It also gets them to the EMM, which I have a bonus in of an extra die in case I wanted to raid. That was kind of my thought, but then I look and wow, that guy is like betting all his sheep. And the only other place I could raid is over here. And again, heavy defenses, castle, defense markers. Not really what I want to go up against. I kind of could use sheep. Who can't? But I'm either going against a defense and a castle here, or a defense and a castle up here. I think I'll go for these. Except I lose a die for that. So I lose a die and I gain a die, but the rewards are greater, which makes that more appealing. We also have a feud marker already there. Actually, no, we're the ones who feud. I could take an attack on one of these feuds, which might be cool. Get me some notoriety or something. I don't know. I mean, I just don't fucking know. And I don't fucking care. You know? It's just so... Anyway, I could use sheep, so I'll go for one of these two. I don't know which one. Odd even will go this one. And you know what? I think I'm going to stop. I think I'm going to stop here. I just don't have the fucking will to keep going. I mean, I'm not done playing, but yeah. I can't. I'll calculate out the dice for this one. And then I'll halt because this is just too fucking miserable. I mean, there's no fun to this. There's no joy. It's... I don't understand these games. I really don't. And I did not think I was looking at something like this. I don't know why. I don't know why. I mean, I looked at the pieces and I should have known. You know, but something excited me about it. It felt kind of similar to the Levian campaign in terms of flavor, right? We're going to have raids and whatnot. I just didn't know that it was just going to be a fucking point salad and that it was going to be a card game, you know? Well, simply for the factor of the extra energy. The extra effort involved in trying to figure out what the fuck I'm doing between. So gray here actually has a card that could help. Ignore Defender's defense token. But if we look here, the defenses are revealed before I have to play my cards. I'm willing to attack that at these odds. I'd rather cancel something bigger than a 1-point defense token. It's only the token, which means if a castle or something was involved, it wouldn't help. But I'm going to try to break my guy out of jail. I got room for some more horses. Unlike most of the players, I'm less in need of sheep with the grays. But things are going to be ugly for me, because a lot of my sheep are being attacked. This could, you know, it's funny. It's like, oh, we should be targeting this guy. Yeah, but our cards say, you know, attack other people, right? We're not allowed to choose where we want to hit at all. This does mean that I'm holding the wild cards for the last turn of the game when it's most important to be able to pick. But it's like, you can't try to balance the game out or whatever just based on the game situation. So in some ways, the diplomacy and everything is sort of neutered by the fact of these pre-programmed cards. You know, it's like, for some reason, I must attack Scots this turn. For some, I mean, it's not guaranteed. It's like you have your choices, but, you know, you have to use all your cards, and I don't know. It just so little makes sense to me. Oh, why the fuck did this guy pick his battle card? What the hell is wrong with him? Well, he's an idiot. I really wanted that battle. Yeah, I really wanted that battle. But I should have known. I mean, the other two Scots are going before me. I'm just fucked. I don't know why I thought I could get away with it. Oh well. I computed the attack dice for everything. I turned this over to remind me I'm going to be using this card. I have things like this. This was the defense token and attack dice halved. Fine, I'll put it there. I can't keep pushing on. Like, I just can't. And, you know, any reasonable person would quit by this point. Part of it is I'm not ready to play the next thing I've got, but I'm not going to be ready to play it when I finish this no matter what. Whatever. I don't know what to do. Right, back down here. Played some Raid, got a nap, played a little bit more Raid. It's like 10 something now. But good news is I contacted the guy and he's not going to be here until Wednesday. That's what he's aiming for. So I have a couple more days to try to go shopping. But now I get to chuck some dice in this wonderful thing. So the final battle is resolved as the first thing. I got 2 hits, 3 hits total, 1 blocked. That gets me 2 cubes. I got the points over there, 6 points. Grabbed the notoriety. It doesn't really help me. Maybe it wasn't wise to go for this battle, right? Sure would have made somebody else happy if I hadn't, because they got kind of screwed. But it's hard. It's hard to kind of justify and understand what's worth doing, what's not worth doing within this game, because the point salad itself is it's an obfuscation of, you know, what you're trying to do and what you want to achieve, etc. And to me, that's honestly part of the problem, is how much is obfuscated from the player in terms of what their goals are and whatnot. I'm just bopping around doing shit, right? I look at my cards and I'm like, oh, I can do this, I can do that. As opposed to, there's no kind of real strategy or anything like that. Maybe you can make generalized goals, but the thing is, your target cards prevent you from redoing the same kind of things too many times. So it's like, you're just gonna, you know, you may be able to get yourself an edge and use those cards towards that edge a little bit better. You can improve your optimization over the manifold, but that's all you can do, right? It's not a game where lots of opportunism shows up, which are games that I can kind of deal with being bopped around in. And it's not a game where there's a solid strategy as far as I can tell. Now, I'm sure, you know, obviously, look, the more you're familiar with the game, the more you have a feel for it, the better you're going to do. So practice is going to help. But I don't know that, like, an actual rigorous strategy is going to help. And certainly, it's you know, the opportunism may show up as you get more and more familiar with it. Like, you get a pattern, which isn't really a strategy. It's a template for how to play. Hey, go for the best Reaver you can first, and this, that, and the other. You know, you might have some rules of thumb that apply, but that's about it. Blues attack on sheep. Hey, more dice and whatever. Failed to do anything. That's life. Doesn't even cause a feud to be generated there. But yeah, sometimes you know what you're hoping is that you get some victory points or you get some sheep or something. And generally you're going to have the odds. He had the odds in his favor. Look at this. He had 6 dice to 2, right? Yeah. You got 2 hits, 2 of them blocked. On the other hand, slightly worse odds. And this is what happens when you throw bunches of dice, right? Ends up without a lot of defense coming, without any defense coming in, essentially, off of 3 dice instead of 2. 7 dice on attack, a little bit more there. I end up getting 2 hits against these sheep, which translates to... Oh, wait. Do I have any 3s and 4s? Oh, yeah, I got lots of stuff. So wow, sheep raiding can be very good. I'm hoping I didn't fuck up on that last one. I may have been grabbing a couple of cattle. I don't know what the dice were anymore. Oh well. I forgot about the 3s and 4s generating stuff. Screw me. Yeah, I don't know. Fuck it, I don't care either. So anyway, that's going to be 4 victory points in sheep, 5, 6, 7, 8 victory points total over here, giving him a big jump. Now, Pink hates him for that. We can get rid of this from the first round, but whatever. It's going to be a pain in the ass. It's always a pain in the ass to clean things up because you're cleaning up squares. These aren't too bad, but you're cleaning up these attack squares, which don't look that different coloration-wise and whatnot from the towers and stuff like that. You're also cleaning up the defenses and everything. And if you don't get everything, you know, you've got some stuff that looks like other stuff that doesn't get cleaned up. Meanwhile, you've got all these stupid little meeples around. Okay, I grabbed the victory points. And now I count, that's 2 sheep I stole. And those are from pink to red. Pink could have lost a lot of sheep. I get to put these anywhere I like. Where I like is hard to judge. This is... Jesus, it's all one big area. I think I'm gonna put them there. But then I also get cattle, which is 4 cattle from pink to red. Now, if he didn't have them, he wouldn't give them up, of course. And that finishes this battle off. Technically, I shouldn't be taking them off the board. Oh, we got something messed up here. Who got horses into him? 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, something's all fucked up. Something's all fucked up. Yeah, I don't know. I think I stole horse. I don't know. I got no idea. I know that he has too many horses, but I don't know. I'm guessing that these should be here. And that I used an extra horse here. I don't know. It's so fucking stupid, this whole thing. It's like so hard to keep track of what the hell is going on with all these wooden pieces and everything. It wouldn't help if they were counters. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I really should stop because I'm muddling around and not even getting shit right? Like, I looked at this and I'm like, well, why the fuck does he still have horses? Everybody should have committed all their horses by now, right? Everybody else did. But then, if I took from here, like there were still horses for there, so that doesn't make sense either. And I just don't know. Let's just quit. Let's just quit this shit. I mean, there's nothing to learn here. There's nothing more to learn from what I'm doing, right? This is just a fucking mess that I'm in the midst of, and I'm not having fun. If you're watching it and having fun, it's because of my misery, which is cool, but not cool enough for me to keep going. You know, I mean, I just, I don't see, like, we're not going to learn anything about the game, right? Any more about the game at this point. And the only thing I learned is I'm done ordering things I'm iffy about. Boy, do I hope, like, so I've made a couple of other orders this year that I'm real iffy about. I ordered Prime Minister and the second edition of Mr. President, and both GMT, and I'm really kind of thinking, you know, you shouldn't be fucking around with this shit. Just only order things you know you're gonna love now, or at least like respect. I ordered a couple of things I think I'm going to respect more than enjoy, but that's okay. That's okay. I have nothing for this. I have no respect, no enjoyment. But take it as a teaching experience, right? Yeah. When I see something like this, I wish I sold games. Like, I wish I could get rid of my games that way, but I just can't. And yeah, this is no fun.